Okay, oh, it's been a while. I'm gonna play a little bit of this game called Volume today, and it's just the demo, but yeah, I already played through it. There's only 4 levels, but it's a very compelling game. I think I'm just very much like gravitating towards like 3D movement platformer games. This White Knuckle, I got another one recently called, I forgot what it was called, but it has a bunch of like interesting symbols on it. Yeah, something about 3D. I think all of these games have been pretty much like there was like so much yearning for a decent sort of parkour kind of platformer title for years, probably kicked off by Mirror's Edge. And then I feel like it only took like nearly 20 years for indie game developers to actually work out like a compelling sort of movement and physics system. And I think partially what it is like it is ridiculous. Like going for realism in a 3D parkour game is admirable, I guess, in principle, but I feel like it's just not fun. People tend to gravitate towards kind of like janky movement breaking sort of titles, like even like source engine games, things like bee hopping and surfing and just like very weird kind of like movement mechanics and jumping mechanics. Those have been like a core. Those have been a staple in sort of like 3D movement, FPS sort of platformer genre type games, and I think there's a good reason why. It feels more fun. A lot of the times people aren't exactly looking to play games to experience more realism, even though there are people like that. I mean, I've heard there's like a genre of people that play like American Truck Simulator or something like that right after their like 15-hour IRL kind of like truck driving job. And, I mean, that's fine, but I mean, this is so much more cool. I'm not trying to compare the two, but I'm saying in terms of like realistic 3D platformers, movement platformers, this is so much more preferable than Mirror's Edge. It just feels like you're so bogged down by gravity in Mirror's Edge. And again, I think they hired like, or they got consultants, like actual parkour consultants or whatever for that game. And I feel like they did an admirable, probably, job of trying to replicate like movement systems or like accurate sort of parkour, true to life sort of movement mechanics. But in the end, I mean, this is just a lot funner. Like, I think Mirror's Edge would have benefited immensely with random jump pads like this and being able to just run on the walls. Like, yeah, I think it would have been way better. And again, I think finally it's people are sort of, at least indie game developers are finally channeling all the like pent up frustration of like lackluster 3D platformer games for the past decade or 2 decades or so, and finally like doing interesting things. I was thinking about this game and White Knuckle specifically, It almost feels like the natural conclusion would be like the running mechanics of this game combined with the grabbing mechanics of White Knuckle. I feel like that's where I feel like somebody's already making something like that. I don't know how I feel like it's feasible. I feel like it's definitely feasible. Like if there were just like holds there and I wanted to grab onto it, just jump, and then you can do like weird platformy jumps like this. I think the natural conclusion sort of to these types of games is like a mega structure thing like this, with just like a bunch of like handholds and things to grab onto, and yeah, that's pretty much it. That would be like the ideal game. Like the movement of this game combined with the grabs, the handholds of White Knuckle. I think someone is already like attempting something like that. They have to be. Anyway. I guess I can just play a little bit of the actual levels. I'll just go through them again because there's only 4 levels, but it seems like they have a lot of levels planned out. Also, this is the developer of a game called StratFat. I played that a little bit, and it's a really fun like FPS sort of. It's like FPS almost combined with WarioWare or Mario Party sort of. It's kind of janky, but it's really fun. I would recommend it. Anyway, so I get the feeling that they probably developed a bunch of maps for StratFat, and then, or maybe like carried them over to this map, or like brought over elements from their experience designing StratFat levels, and then probably sort of are probably like carrying it over to this game. Maybe I've seen a little bit of their kind of like work in progress videos on their Twitter. It's really impressive. It's really impressive. It kind of makes me want to get into like 3D modeling and stuff like that, but I don't know. I feel like there are aspects of 3D modeling that that are obviously like insanely cool and stuff. However, I also feel like the scale of it I guess it's fine for different reasons. I feel like 3D modeling as like an indie game developer is really compelling when you're trying to build like a platformer type of game, and exploring like movement and things like that. I think I'm still kind of like sticking to drawing for the most part, because I feel like there are little things about drawing that still, obviously, I still think it is like an extremely timeless medium, and will probably continue to be so, because there's just like little things you can include, like very fine like details or suggestions or symbolism, or just like, I don't know, all sorts of little things in drawings that I think it's a little bit more difficult to implement in 3D modeling, just because the scale gets so like out of scope quickly. That terrified me. It gets like out of scope. Well, not out of scope, that's not the correct term. It's not exactly the same kind of thing. If that makes sense. I don't know. I think there are only things that can be conveyed in the 2D medium, I guess, even though technically you could argue this is 2D, but yeah, anyway. So this level is, my voice is like really weird today. This level is really cool. I like this part. I'm almost struggling to figure out like what the tone of this game is. It almost feels like the sort of like overgrowth, collapse society sort of thing, like this. What's that meme that's like, oh, dystopia with concrete buildings crumbling everywhere, and it's just like whatever, and then but dystopia concrete buildings crumbling with like moss and like plants growing everywhere, and it's like suddenly redeemed. I mean, it's a little what it's a little bit of this. It's a little bit of this. However, that really threw me off. I didn't expect that. I don't feel like this game is like bleak or dystopic, or at least that's or the tone that it's trying to go for. I don't even think it's probably trying to go for any like very specific tone. I think it's partially like an exploration of a lot of different atmospheres and ideas as well. Given that there's like dozens of levels and maps that are planning on being released. But I will say there is a sort of like, there are some like overarching kind of like design choices and aesthetic atmospheric choices that I think sort of carry are sort of noticeable, I guess, or visible through all of the levels, or through most of the levels probably. That being, yeah, like sort of like semi-dilapidated, not like entirely dilapidated, like partially dilapidated megastructural areas. Also, the term megastructure is just going to like be phased out at some point. I feel like it's just going to be one of those words that loses meaning. Like every indie game developer in like 5 years are going to have their own hit mega structured first person platformer, time speed run movement mechanic, whatever, beautiful looking game. I don't know. Anyway, but this is really fun to explore. Also another thing, I think what it is also as well is that the idea of like boundaries in maps. If anyone's familiar with like kind of like first person, kind of like world exploratory games or open world games of the past 10 or 20 years, not that I've played that many, there's a sense, I think there was this like really apparent disconnect with the term itself, like with the term open world itself, where yeah, you can like literally explore. I mean, there's a lot to explore, obviously, and there's like all sorts of buildings and places to visit, things like that. However, the disconnect moment happens when you reach like the invisible sort of like boundary area of most maps or levels, where for whatever reason, I mean, it's not for whatever reason, it's just for obvious reasons, you can't really progress any further than that. Otherwise it would just, you would probably just like clip through the map. And I think that there's something there that's very interesting. Again, I think it caused a lot of dissonance, where it's like, yeah, it is theoretically open world, but even in like the starting area of like the first section of some place, you can like go backwards immediately and then like find a ledge or something that by all means looks very scalable or jumpable or something like that, but your character just kind of like awkwardly flails around in place and is like They're, they're like in an invisible mime box or something like that. And anyway, that's why I think that there's something very compelling about this game as well. Because you can literally just... every sort of structure, I think, that is visible, it seems like you can just sort of just go on it and do like the janky kind of... not janky, the really ridiculous sort of like wall run. And I like that. I like that a lot. I think this is what a lot of people probably wanted, or a lot of people that play games specifically. So yeah, okay, enough about that. Like, I need to just get past this area. I don't know why I'm stopped here. This section's really cool. Also, I like how a lot of it is just like nonsense architecture. Like I really don't like the idea that like architecture in games, for example, I don't know why it's doing that. Architecture in games, for example, has to be like purely functional and like everything has to make sense and click into place. It's like, no, what, like, who cares? Just put a random build like a random bridge / aqueduct area over that like ravine over there. It doesn't matter what the city planners were thinking. It just looks kind of cool. It's for the aura, and this game has a lot of it, like that too. That's really cool. It's like a planetary, like a telescope thing. Okay, let's just get. Why is it doing that? Okay, I'm salvaging this. Okay, surprisingly this is... oh, okay. Anyway. But yeah, this is really cool. This reminds me of that one album cover. Not one album cover, you know, that one album cover. No, that... I forgot what it was. Like an electronic sort of album from the early 2000s maybe, or the late 1900s possibly. Can I even... I feel like you can go there. But this level is pretty much the epitome of like grunge, piss texture, grunge, piss and vomit texture that seemed to like characterize a lot of early 2000s games, like late 90s to early 2000s games for whatever reason. Okay, let's just get through this. Oh, oops. Continue. This one's really cool too. This kind of feels like an a medieval city on top of a mountain, or something, like a fortress. I always wondered about those places. Like, how did they get food? This is gonna be such a dumb question. I'm sure they like probably grew plants and stuff, or like had like a little bit of a flock up there, but I don't know. I think this is probably like peak brutalism, or it's like when the brutalism movement or whatever was like really taking off. I feel like this is what everybody wanted or had in mind when they were like building out everything, or wanted how everything could be. Oh, I think I saw that. the timeline ghost over there. This is like a bureaucratic utopia. This is like the end game of bureaucracy. Its final form. I'm sure you can like sort of cheese, or like you can sort of like cheese the wall jump sort of mechanic and the jumping to like just get to random areas. Oh. Oh. How was Bangkok? You know what? I was actually planning on visiting Southeast Asia at some point, so I will let you know if I ever do. I mean, this would be a pretty cool like room to like listen to like chants, like meditative chants, and like do writing or like work on drawings or something like that. I mean, I think a lot of people have their sort of like cabin in the woods moment at some point in their lives, even though I've heard that the author of that title didn't like really live like that far in the woods, and like their friends would regularly like bring them supplies and food. But yeah, this is really cool. So that's the end. I wonder if we can explore a little bit more. What if I go... Okay, clearly can't go over there. You probably could, it's just... I'm still kind of getting used to movement and stuff. Okay, whatever. Let's just play the last level. What? Oh! There's like a jump height limit. I didn't even know that. Okay, so I think there's one more level. Oh wait, no, that was it. Okay, well, I think that's probably it for now. Do I have any final impressions for this game? Not really. I think I've said all that I kind of want to like condense my videos a little bit more as well, just because I don't really like editing that much. So yeah, I feel like how long, this has been like probably half an hour, so I feel like that's a pretty decent place to stop. But yeah, I'm really excited for this game and to like play the rest of the levels. There's I don't know what it is, but this type of game and like the developer and the community style feels it just feels correct for some reason. It just feels better than how a lot of other people or game developers are. Well, not that I don't even know if that's accurate to say, but I don't know. I think there's just a lot of good intention and like generally good intention with this kind of game. You can see that like this is a developer / community that is probably very has a thing for like mega structures and concrete and movement mechanic games and stuff like that. I'm almost certain that they played like a bunch of like B-hop, like source B-hop levels or like surf levels growing up. Actually, maybe I kind of want to explore this area a little bit. Let's see if you can like get over there. Go there, and then maybe... Okay, there probably. Here. Also, I like the arms. The arm design. It's got the... I don't know how you describe it. It like widens out near the end. That's like peak character design. When like the OC looks like it has, when they're wearing like flares and their arms look like huge stubs, not stubs, but like fins. When they look like huge fins, sort of. That's peak OC design. Okay, I'm pretty sure you can just... I'm absolutely sure you can just do something like that. Okay, and then... Oh, okay. And then just go up here. Okay, I'm not sure if this is feasible. Can you go up here? Oh, here instead. Okay, whatever. I'll try again next time, maybe. Anyway, so that was Volume. Thanks for watching.